Thank you, Lord, you've been so good to me. Niggas ngilo semhlabeni. Sangulinde ngisengambe emhlabeni. Akukho kunye ngakubonga ngakho. Thathi Can I have everyone's attention? Did you guys enjoy the breakout rooms? Okay, did you guys learn something new? Nobody learned anything new? You didn't learn anything new about your neighbors? Wow, guys. All of that chit-chat, nobody learned anything new. It's okay. We'll learn again. We have another opportunity next month. So my name is Tumi, and I'm with Africa's Talking, one of the partners of Tech Talk Thursday. And we appreciate you guys coming through today. Today's a complete takeover by the Startup Policy guys. But we're enjoying it because they gave us free food, isn't it? Okay, so we're just going to welcome the team to tell us a bit more about basically what's going to happen today and who they are and why it's important for us and everybody, basically them and us, to be in the same room and be having these conversations. So please do enjoy. Thank you.
Round of applause for Tumi. Okay, I'm going to be going up and down because I don't have a clicker. If there is a clicker, that would be great. But otherwise, I don't mind going up and down. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Phumzile Chifingise. I am from Simodisa, and we are the Secretariat of the SA Startup Act movement. And we are super, super excited to be amongst young business people. Some of us are business people running businesses. Some of us are thinking of them. Most of us are students. So we are extremely excited to be in the community for a couple of reasons. Number one, this is our first in-person event that we're hosting with our sponsor, Allen and Gilgray Philanthropies. Number two, we are still in Youth Month, right? So we are super, super excited to be switching the conversation of tech and innovation businesses right in the heart of technology, being Tshimologong, and especially with young innovators and young tech businesses. And I think just the third reason to be amongst the Tech Talk community, we've been seeing a lot of the activities of Tech Talk on Tech Talk online. So it's super, super exciting to be here today. And just to thank you for all of our partners, Africa's Talking, Tshimologong, Geekulcha, I've spoken about Ellen Gilgray Philanthropies, as well as our speakers that we have engaged and lined up for today's event. And if I can ask for clapping of hands, just to make sure that we are all in the room. Yes, 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 yes. Awesome. So the purpose of today's event, we are called Tshimologong. Sorry, we are called Simodisa. And as I mentioned, we are the Secretariat of the SA StartUp Act. Has anybody heard of the SA StartUp Act? Yeah? No? A little bit of both. But essentially, we do these roadshows where we bring the conversation of policies for startups in various communities. And we've been doing a couple of these throughout the year. We started the year by going to Workshop 17, where we are based, speaking to entrepreneurs in that community. We went to Ekasi Labs in Katlehong, because we can't speak about entrepreneurship without including township and rural-based entrepreneurs, right? Just a couple of days ago, we were at Innovation Hub, and we are here today at Tshimologong. And the purpose of the session is to inculcate the topic of policies and how, as you grow your business, you will come across policies, especially if you're in the tech environment, as you're registering your IPs, as you're trying to get talent into your business, as you grow, as you to bring in your data engineers and all of the specialities that you are going to need to grow your business. You are going to come across policies that can limit your growth as you scale to be a global business, because that's all what we want, right? We want to grow global businesses. So the intention of today is to unpack what those policies roadblocks are and what we are proposing as the Startup Act to curb those policies. But we also thought to ourselves that we can't just stop at policies. We want to speak to a room of entrepreneurs on things to do with market access. Market access is one of the big challenges that is facing our businesses, whether you are running a business, kokasi, it is a small tuck shop, or somebody was saying in our group that they have got a loan facility. So your customers are the first indicator of whether your business is growing or not. And if there's challenges to do with how do you access those customers, how do you appeal to those customers, we wanted to bring somebody who's going to help us to understand how we can get around that. But over and above that, how do you grow your business into various markets? How do we tap into local markets in the country? How do you tap into markets across the continent, and also how do you grow internationally, cross-border trading? All of those topics are in line with how do you grow a business and how do you attract various customers. And the second thing that we also wanted to add to the Tech Talk community, over and above just talking technology, talking policies, talking market access, is funding. We know that quite a lot of us don't come from rich families with trusts that we can tap into, where our families can invest into our businesses. But we also know that a lot of us are still starting out. So maybe our business is not at that level where we can get to a bank and we can ask for a loan, right? Some of our businesses are even, they've got a long runway, in the sense that we're still testing, we're still trying to validate the business model, we're still trying to figure out the business case of the business. So how do you attract funding over and above grants, over and above loans? And so we brought somebody from the JSE to speak about what some of those funding opportunities look like if I wanted to perhaps list my company on the stock exchange as a form of getting investment into my business. So that's in a nutshell what we wanted to do today. We do hope that you find it enriching. We hope that you find it value adding to your business. And we're super excited to be in the community, as I said. Okay, how was the group check-in? Just one or two feedback. How did you find it?
I was so late. But I missed out on the group session, but I really enjoyed Tsepo and a couple of other people who were in our group, shout out. So we were just speaking about how, I guess, the goals that we had for the first half of the year, how some people were able to achieve those goals. So yeah, that's kind of how it went on our side.
Okay, anybody else from this side?
Good evening, everyone. From my side, I would just say that from our group, we realized that everyone is here for an answer, and most of our businesses do interlink. It's only that we need to speak up. That's when you know that the answer's right here.
Absolutely, so the point of community. I think a lady from this lady in the red. Oh, no, why? You're the lady.
I won? Oh no, public speaking. Public speaking.
You already speak, and this is my group member, so I'm going to bully you.
Wow.
Oh, hi. I think the highlight is that I met someone who looked like my dad. That's interesting. I'm going to say this the whole day. And yeah, I learned something different. I met the media guy. I already know these two ladies and my dad.
Okay, so being able to connect with somebody is what I picked up from that. Cool. I think it was a great session, by the way, and thank you to the Tech Talk community for bringing in an element of check-ins before these sessions start. A lot of us just go into these events. We want what we want. We want information. We want to grow our businesses. We need money for our businesses, but we forget the human element and connecting to people. And you might actually find the answer, as you were saying, to the business challenge that you're facing if you connect to other people. So I think that was a fantastic session. You've got agendas on your chairs, so I think we all have a gist of what the day is going to look like. But essentially, please do engage. It's not a session where a person is just going to be talking. There is going to be a time where you can, we can ask questions, we can engage, but we also thought, because we know that we don't always get an opportunity to say a particular thing or ask a particular thing when we come across something that piques our interest, we thought to ourselves that we wanted to create a WhatsApp wall. So typically in these sessions there would be a post-it and a flip chart where you can just write your points down. But because we are in a digital age, feel free to scan the QR code where you'll be taken into this group for today. The WhatsApp group that's going to be created specifically for today. And feel free to drop your comments, your questions, if you've got suggestions for anything that you're hearing as we go along. So I'll just pause for a few seconds. Cool stuff. Now that we're all in the room, physically, mentally, and digitally, we're connected as well. I think we can officially kick the roadshow off, and who greater than the hosts for today's session, Lebahang from Tshimologong, to come and say a few words.
Hi, Pumzil. How are you, Pumzil? Are you well? How was the stage, the circle? So we believe in opening a circle here at Tech Talk. I can imagine we are used to this, what is it called, cinema style. Greetings, everyone. So I haven't been here in a very long time. On Katile off. And I'm realizing that I'm seeing quite a lot of new faces. And these faces are also very quiet. But the faces are also very scary. So I can imagine, Pumzile, when you are here, that it's quite intimidating. But I'd like to basically just welcome you all. Thank you for consistently coming to Tech Talk. I mean, like, we've built this. I think I was telling a group that I was in, we started with 7 people. And today we are, I think our numbers are hitting like 100 and something in our registrations. So I think we should also clap for ourselves to say because I think the platform in itself was not necessarily built by us, it was built by you guys, because some of you constantly invite your friends and invite people to come join us as well. I know you've brought 3 people. So we also have evangelists here that we have provided the platform. I know there is I think, can I see the program here? So I also want to say to the community that this is not necessarily, we know how we run things, but I think we're also trying to take the platform to a different place, but still keeping what we do at best, because I think 90 seconds of fame is what makes who we are. The breakout sessions is what makes who we are. Because what we want is the voices of the community, not necessarily our voice being imposed on you guys, but we really want to hear what you guys have to say and see what we can build through your experiences. Because at the end of the day, I think we've all attended a lot of talk shops, and we don't want that. But we've created this platform to to be a platform that engages us. And I think we all have something to say. So please feel free to raise your hand and contribute. Let us not stop the culture because now I know we have an Alan Gray logo here. We also have a Simodisa. This is not what we are used to, but let us not be afraid of the logos. This is our platform. But we welcome them. And I think we're also thankful that they came to us because I think it's important that we form relationships with the ecosystem as well because that allows us to grow and that allows us to open up opportunities. Because the point of this platform was really about opening up opportunities. I know someone just asked me here to say, Lebu, I have this agri business, we want to get incubated. And I was like, we're going to do it. Because we are developing something that will allow you to say, when I have an idea, how do I get incubated and how do I how do I get into a process of now being in a journey of being an entrepreneur? Because I think it's important. It's a lonely road, but the community really allows us. We have Brandon here, he's been with us for a long time at Tshimologong as an alumni. Today I know him as a married man, which is quite cool, right? Which is quite cool because we've grown. So next time I'll also see this man as a married man. But throughout this process, because we've kept each other and we've held each other's hands, I'm not going to say much. I think the next speaker is going to be, but if you have any questions for me, please do ask. I haven't been here for a long time. I'm even sweating. Yeah. But I think the next speaker is going to be, I don't know if it's Miss or Mr. because I haven't met them. Mr. or Mrs. Suleimani. Mr. Suleimani. How are you, sir? Sure. Sorry, Mr. Suleimani. I know you are probably from those offices up there, up market. We are just different people here. We are in a circle. So we do want you to sit here. Okay, sure. Okay, sure, yeah, you can maybe just help him connect. All right, thanks. How are you? No, I'm all right. And I think, yeah, we also have, maybe let's speak to who's here. We have Mr. Suleimani from Alan Gray. We also have, welcome Ndwamando. Where's that innovator? How are you, Ndwamando? So Ndwamando is also a person who went through Tshimologong, one of Tshimologong's programs. He's here, you'll hear more about his story. And then we are going to engage as we usually do. Please do share your thoughts, man. We want to hear what's happening in your lives and what's happening with the ideas that are in your heads. But also aligned with the Startup Act so that we also don't move away from the program. Because I think we have this radical tendency of trying to do what we want to do. But the corporate people are here to direct us today. Thank you very much. Mr. Suleimani, let me give you a platform, sir.
Thank you so much. Really, thank you so much. It's really an honor to be here today. Just by means of introduction, I haven't met anyone here, all unfamiliar faces to me. I have a colleague that actually told me, you need to go and see this event. It's something new, something vibrant. So, yeah, my name is Sulaiman Patel. I am in the grant-making unit at Enlin and Gilgray Philanthropy, and I do focus on township and informal entrepreneurship. So, yeah, really interesting event. Really happy to be here. But I'm not here to steal the stage. I've been given a little bit of a short notice, so I said I'm not going to speak off the cuff because I might be totally off topic. So I just prepared a few words to give to you guys, you young entrepreneurs. Some of you may be older than me or at least look older than me. But nevertheless, I think in starting off, I definitely would like to congratulate the organizers, Simodisa and the rest. This is really an amazing event. It's the first of its kind, I would say. We go to ecosystem events, and a lot of the time what we notice is that the entrepreneurs are not in the room. You have these big companies and planners, and there's food, and everyone's sitting and brainstorming around the table, and quite often people say, where are the entrepreneurs? So I think what I'm liking and what I really see here is they involve the people at the heart of it, the people at the heart of it. Furthermore, I think I'd like to acknowledge each and every one of you. Yes, I have a bit of a corporate tag on my name today, but I myself am an entrepreneur and I've had a few business ventures and it's blood and sweat. So really give yourselves a round of applause. Give yourselves a round of applause. And really on behalf of Ellen and Jill Gray Philanthropies South Africa, I really want to give you guys a warm welcome to the event. This event, I think, to me, and I believe that this is more than just a policy dialogue. I think it's a deeper shift on how we support youth-led interventions and youth-led entrepreneurship in the country, specifically with innovation, technology, and a lot of the times what you see is you need some young blood coming in for this innovation to take place. Young people see problems differently. Young people see different solutions in a very different and innovative way. So to see young blood here is really encouraging for our organization, and it's why we support these type of initiatives, is because it's youth-led and it gives youth a seat at the table and helps us develop a solution. I think for us, really we are committed to building a thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem in South Africa. And for that to happen, we need all people to come together and be part of the conversation and just let us know that these are the solutions that you've come up with. These are the solutions that are working for us. This is not what's working for us. And suggest ways in which we can be better. Because really, we're not here just to push certain agendas. We're just here to ensure that the entrepreneurial ecosystem in South Africa can thrive and create jobs and get where we need to be. So today, I think it's about speaking about policies and barriers that are faced by you guys, the young entrepreneurs, and really telling us where are your pain points and how can we together as a working unit shift from the current state to a state where we have government buy-in, where we have public sector, private sector buy-in to support this thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem that we have in South Africa. I think I really don't have much more to say because we need to listen to you guys. So for today, I want all the entrepreneurs really come here with an intention that you're here to participate, you're here to contribute, you're here to be heard and to have a seat at the table so that you know going forward that you have played your part in creating this very, very, very vibrant entrepreneurial ecosystem, and you know that you've left a system better than what you found it. So thank you very much. We really appreciate everyone coming today. And from my side and on behalf of Ellen and Jill Gray Philanthropies South Africa, we really thank you for all the effort and to all the organizers. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Sulaiman. I think that was a call to action. That was a call to action because usually when we do these sessions, yes, there's young people in the room, but they're often in the minority. So it's really, really exciting to have young people to speak on policy, entrepreneurship policy, alongside all the exciting things that we're going to be speaking about today. So up next, we're going to be talking about the SA Startup Act. A few of you said that you know who we are, but just a summary quickly, we are a group of various people within the ecosystem, entrepreneurs, tech startups, a lot of tech startups and investors, private equity investors, VCs, government as well, all brought together around one vision, which is to create an enabling environment for businesses. And we believe that policy is the best tool to enable that. And we've been supported throughout our journey since 2014 by various organizations who have really helped us to get to where we are. And Ellen and Gilgray Philanthropy is our key sponsor on today's event. So, of course, I mean, we've been speaking about businesses, right? And I think the perfect way to start is just looking at the climate around us in terms of what is the scene in which our businesses in South Africa are operating in. We have seen all of the geopolitical tensions that have been happening, whether you're talking about trade tariffs from the United States a couple of months ago to all of the geo issues that we are seeing with Iran and Israel as well. All of those things, as far away as they are, we all know that they've got a ripple effect to us on the ground, right? I mean, we can even go as far back as COVID, where we can literally see the price of goods going up. Some of our supplies were stuck because the world was closed. But also, if you think of Iran, Russia and Ukraine, how within agriculture, fertilizers and various parts of the value chain were affected, and the price that we were paying at the shops was affecting us, right? So all of the things that, and I'm sure as we are all in school, we understand that trends and tensions and whatever activity and events that are happening outside in the world do have a ripple effect on us on the ground. But at the same time, we have got a supporting country and government who have got lots of various legislations to make sure that us as business people, as entrepreneurs, can thrive. If you know the various policies that enable SMMEs, especially to grow, the National Development Plan and all the other policies. In your case, we're talking about the National Youth Policy. All of the policies that are in place, they are there to support entrepreneurs. But at the same time, we know that the economy is not doing all that well. We've got a sluggish growth in terms of the economy. Unemployment, especially to communities such as this who are young, there's a huge unemployment. So all of this affects us, especially if we're talking about setting up businesses. A lot of us set up businesses because we need to create livelihoods for ourselves. You know, we can't find work in the formal economy, so setting up businesses is the next best thing to sustain ourselves. But we also know that, and the reason why we're speaking about policy so much is that South Africa has been ranked as one of the countries with the highest elements that contribute to us not having a good business environment to conduct our business. We were rated 50th from a group of 50 countries insofar as business regulation is concerned, where the ease of doing business has been rated quite low for South Africa. So we know that the legislations, as much as they are all there, some of them do really make it difficult for us to grow our businesses. But at the same time, it's also not that doom and gloom. We've got just under 500 tech startups specifically in the country. They create just under 200,000 jobs. And these are a specific type of businesses that we're speaking about today. And you in this group, in the room today, know exactly what we're talking about when we're talking about tech startups. We're talking about businesses that have got a real potential to grow at a very fast speed. And there's quite a bit of them in the country, which is a positive thing. I've spoken to who we are. So what brings us together as an ecosystem of about just under 1,000 people, and we're hoping that you will also join our movement after today's event, is for us to have a policy that is specific to tech startups and innovation businesses that is going to make it easy for tech startups who are growing globally and who are scaling to be able to exist. You've got different policies for other types of businesses, whether you're in the informal sector, whether you are a business in a traditional market. You've got Triple BE, for example, that is there to really support the growth of other business models. But tech businesses specifically, and high growth startups don't have a legislation of their own. And you'll see a little bit now when we're talking about why we want an act and a legislation that's specific to high growth startups, what we're talking about. But all of that is centered around what we do as an organization. So we engage with government, we engage with investors, for investors, more and more private, especially investors, to invest in businesses that are still starting out in their startup journey. To contribute towards having this legislation that's specific to high growth startups. And we've spoken to quite a lot of government institutions, the President, Department of Trade and Industry and Competition, for example, all of the departments, to make sure that they understand what we're talking about when we're talking about legislations for high growth startups. But perhaps let's take a step back. I think we've been speaking about this term tech startups or high growth startups. It'll be interesting to hear from the room what our perceptions or our understanding when we say startup, what does it mean to you?
Is it afternoon now? It's still afternoon. Yeah, good evening, everyone. So I think a startup is a business that is just recently started up and it's still small. It has not scaled up as yet. I would say it's a test and error. Yeah.
Taste. Okay. Any other thinking of what a startup is? And it could be something different from that. You could agree, you could disagree.
I'm just going to pick on the ladies. Ladies, I know we have business owners here. Who owns a business? Who owns a business? I saw a tiny hand coming up. Okay, let me come this side. So while I'm going to her, well, to me, a startup is a business that's still trying to figure it out. You identified a problem. You are working on a solution to address that problem. It's not perfect, but you're trying. What you're relying on is feedback. So as you slowly release, you're taking feedback from your customers. So that means that you are doing so much with very little resources, financially and also otherwise. Yeah, that's what it is to me. Was it you, ma'am? Okay, I'm just going to pick any of the guys. Startup owners, business owners. There we have one. Woohoo!
To me, a startup is a high growth, scaling business. You work fast with minimal resources, usually trying to innovate, break boundaries, and create disruption in a sector.
Cool. So we said a lot of good things. What else? And I feel like the ladies need to step up now.
Ah, okay.
Yes. No, I feel like I agree with what's already been said, but just to add on, I think also a kind of, not reliance, but a use of technology as well. That's usually what we would associate a startup with, like high technology, advanced and all that, as compared to the old, I guess, approach of starting a business. So that's how I think of a startup.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've said all of the good things around what, especially our understanding as the Startup Act is of a startup. Question, maybe something different here?
Hi. I'd also say a startup can it be like an informal business? Like most businesses are started, but they're like not really officially registered, like with governments. They don't have to apply to compliances and laws and all that. So it's just some informal business which isn't like really registered, but still operating and still trying to make a profit or trying to break even.
Nice. Yeah, so we've said all those different elements of what a startup is. And I think everybody in the room has got an understanding of what we are talking about. And I think the thing that keeps getting repeated is the aspect of testing. It is the aspect of validating your business model, right? And if you think of the various startups that we've had in history, all the way from your Googles, your Metas in South Africa, Yoko, we've got Sweep South, the gentleman that's speaking about the informal sector. Sweep South is also a key player that plays in the informal market. There's so many businesses that we can identify who are startups, but essentially it's all centered around what we've been identifying, saying it is based on technology, it is based on innovation, being disruptive, and growing at a very, very fast pace, all right? So according to the AU, as they have gone around in identifying a model to educate, especially government, because I think the aspect of defining what a startup is will then ripple effect into how government supports startups, right? So what we are trying to do is to make sure that we've got an all common understanding of what a high growth startup is, because without that, then it means that they will shift us in different boxes where we don't fit in. So according to the African Union model framework, these are businesses that are innovation-led, that are enabled by technology, that are focused on technology. They grow at a very high speed, so within the first 5 years, they will grow to 100 million. And in the US, this model, these are businesses that can even grow to be unicorns, generating $1 billion on an annual basis. And in South Africa, we do have a couple of those unicorns, Go One, for example. And in the African continent, we've got about 13 countries that have got startup acts that support and try to make more and more of these startups, right? So these are businesses that rely quite a lot on research and development. A lot of their funds that they get for investing into their businesses going into research and development, registering their IP, as well as ensuring that they can trade not only locally but offshore as well. And it's quite important, as I said, to make sure that we all have got one common understanding of what a startup is, so that the community can be able to operate in an environment that is optimal to them. But what we realized is, and this also links to my point of that common understanding, is that these group of companies, they rely quite a lot on risk-based funding. So venture capital, private equity, impact funders, these are businesses that are funded by funding models that are prepared to put investment in, and in a couple of years' time, they will see those returns. Or in quite a lot of times, during that testing phase, you find that the business actually does not succeed. But these are businesses where investors are fully prepared to invest in them because they believe in the innovation, they believe in the disruptiveness, as compared to other funding models or business models where the business would be funded based on their how long they've been operating, and all of those metrics. We know quite a lot of times impact funders fund your innovation, and they believe in the results that you can prove based on your idea and the feedback that you've been getting. So please do not ever get to a point where you dismiss your idea, whatever it looks like. There are multiple funders out there that are prepared to invest in your innovation as long as the business model makes sense and you can you can prove the return on that. But at the same time, in South Africa, we are seeing that there's not a lot of risk-based funding, especially to early stage startups. So you're finding that the community that is there to grow these businesses is getting smaller and smaller, and we're not able to attract a lot of foreign direct investment, which is why we need policies that are going to grow these businesses in South Africa globally. What we realize is that these businesses often have three challenges. Number one, we found that, as I mentioned, investors don't necessarily invest a lot, well, at least in South Africa, don't necessarily invest a lot in early stage startups. You would hear of concepts like Series A, Series B, Series C, all of those various categories. But the early stage startups, there's not a lot of funding instruments in the country that goes towards them. So we need to find ways in which the private sector and venture capital can be incentivized by government in order to fund more and more early stage startups. The second thing that we realized is that, and you as tech businesses or people that are studying within the field, you know how expensive your skills are. I think about 70% of digital skills come from offshore. So it's quite difficult for startups that are based in the country, based on our immigration laws, to tap into those skills and that talent if you are a South African-based startup. So we understand that there needs to be a better visa regimes to give access to digital talent that could be anywhere in the world, you know. And the last thing is that, let's say, for example, you have started your business and you really gained traction. There's somebody in Canada that wants to invest in your business. Our exchange controls and our processes of getting capital into the country are quite long. They're expensive. You would need to go to a lawyer or a law firm to register your business. Investors are really struggling to invest into startups in the country because of these processes. So we are saying if we were to relax just these three areas, then we would be able to see an uptake of startups growing in the country. And we've done a couple of things by way of showing that to government. We've got a white paper that we started where we give an evidence-based as to how many of these startups there are in the country, what is the business case. Most of these startups actually employ 80% young people. So with the right policy and legislation, we are confident that we can actually contribute jobs back into the country. And so we've done various things, this being one of the things that we do on a day-to-day basis to really get the message across in terms of what the impact of having a legislation will have. Even going to Parliament and to position and petition our policy. But please do check us out online if you've got time to just read through some of our research as well. We also have now started commissioning a research with Ellen and Gilgray Philanthropy on how policy actually impacts our local startups' ability to attract global capital and global markets. So by the end of today, it would be great if we were to shift our mindset from only being a... Ooh, sorry. Lebo, if you can please help. So by the end of today, it would be great if we would have shifted our mindset from running businesses locally, but tapping into businesses globally as well. So as I mentioned, we are hoping that by the end of today, you will join us in our movement to have this legislation and to really grow our community, essentially. I'll just pause here for a couple of seconds where you can just click on the QR code that'll take you to our portal where you can join our community to join the movement, essentially. No. I'll re-flag it up again at the end of the presentation. And we'll also put it on the WhatsApp group as well. But it's essentially a portal where you can provide your details. But we'll put it on the group. Cool. I think that is it for me to give a context of what we do at the Startup Act. But I think it's time for somebody a little bit more exciting than me to talk to us about tapping into various markets as a youth-owned business in technology and innovation. Welcome. Please take your turn. Let's give a round of applause to welcome.
Hi guys. I think she oversold the promise of excitement. But hi everybody, I am welcome Domata Manyanya. I am a fellow entrepreneur such as yourself, a founder with a few successes and a couple of failures. I'd like to touch more on that during the networking sessions, the one-on-one sessions with the people I meet and we talk about. But yeah, right now I'm wearing the hat of the founder of Iron Tech, Iron Technology, which is a renewable energy technology startup that transforms everyday movement into clean, green energy. So when you walk, when you exercise, when you drive, when you use water, we can convert that into electrical energy. As well as recently, I started what we call the hot nozzle, which is a shower nozzle that doesn't need electricity to produce hot water. So you can essentially shower without hot water. So that's a brief introduction about myself. Okay, let me just see my notes. Right, so my topic is market access for innovative youth businesses, right? South Africa has not have a shortage of ideas. We have great ideas. People in the Kona Kokasi come up with great ideas. People in boardrooms come up with great ideas. We in talks like this come up with great ideas. The question is, how do we then access market with these great ideas? Because with no market equals no business. It makes sense. We're all in business to make money. And when we build in tech and innovation, another thing we need to remember is our market landscape. It's great to build a business for America, but the problem is in Africa. So we tend to forget that, and then you'll find the business ideas that are great for a global market, but on a local market, they aren't feasible or they aren't realistic. And people are afraid to then take a risk to go to those markets where the businesses would be valid. And how I'd say this is, I would go with a mom test. I'm not sure if you guys have read the book, The Mom Test, but essentially the mom test questions us as entrepreneurs of how do we then sell our business. Our mothers will always love us, they'll always cherish us, so they'll always be nice. If I can go to my mom right now and I say, Ma, I want to build a robot that's going to cook for you, she'll say, great, build it. But she's just being nice, she's lying to me, to be honest, and you guys can all pick up that. The question then becomes, how do you ask the right questions without looking for a compliment? And then you need to also be comfortable with an idea that isn't viable and be comfortable with pivoting. So also when you pitch, when you speak to people, when you speak to clients, don't pitch, listen. Because you're trying to solve a problem of a person. You're not trying to solve your own problem. So if I could come to you guys, I would say, hey guys, for example, I'm trying to sell my hot nozzle. I say, hey guys, would you guys like a device that replaces a geyser at a fraction of the cost? Everyone will say yes, just to be nice to my face. But if I really wanted to pick out the real customers, the real clients, I would go and find out your problem. I would say, when last did you have a shower and the hot water ran out? Or when last did you wanted to have a shower but it was load shedding and you couldn't heat up your water? So trying to source the real problem, understanding the pain point of a client or a customer is the biggest key to accessing a market. I will take one example of a company who was recently within in France. They were previously doing a different solution in the health tech space. And then they went to the client and they heard the real problem and they completely pivoted. And now they've signed with KFC, they've signed with Discam, and their business is really scaling up fast because they're then actually solving the problem that exists to the market. So accessing the market in South Africa is the biggest question of why everyone is here. How do I then access the home market? there's twofold success in the home market. There's support from government, from private sectors, from corporations, from places like Tshimologong, where they take you to international markets, whether it's your Irish Tech Challenge, whether it's your GI Techs, whether it's your Viva Tech, whether it's your London Tech Week, and the list goes on. So there's platforms and there's opportunities to take talent from here, taking them to the market that exists. And that's what the first thing I said. You need to be able to identify your existing market for you to be able to go directly to its doorstep. And then number two, then there's the local challenge. The local challenge, again, will require then the mom test. You test the market with honesty, not looking for compliments, but looking for complete honesty, asking the right questions and not looking for validation. It's great to be told you're smart. It's great to be told you have the best idea. But is your idea solving any problems? And this would take me back to then grade 10, when one of my mates who's sitting there, we were trying to build a jet engine for a science expo. And we did succeed building the jet engine. But it wasn't a viable business. It was a great project to build. You built a jet engine and everyone will clap hands for you and say you're intelligent. But you aren't Boeing, you aren't Airbus, unless you have the entire regulations for it to become a feasible business. It's just a great idea and it's you building something cool. So we need to always have that conversation. And pivot is good. Pivot is a sign that shows you you're going to a certain direction, which may be the right direction or it may be a wrong direction. You will find out. A second point I would touch in is have access to your local labs, your local tech labs, whether it's the Innovation Hub, whether it's M Labs, whether it's Tshimologong, whether it's communities such as the DIT, Darkies in Tech. There's different communities where they allow access to market to be much more, less of a daunting task. So one thing that helps with access to market is a warm introduction. If I introduce you to maybe Brandon there, I say, hey, Brandon, meet this guy. He's more likely to be warm reception based on the introduction versus you going there. So communities like this, platforms like this allow you to then have that warm introduction being made. And the room is full of people of color, but the Caucasians do it a lot. You'll go to a bra in Stellenbosch, and after a bra, you can secure a pilot project. After a trip in Cape Town, you can secure another project. For example, another example I'll bring up from France, where we went recently, is there's a company, an AI company called Mistrial. It's trying to disrupt the AI industry. And they needed access to investment from NVIDIA, one of the huge microchip giants globally. And they went to the president, Emmanuel Macron, and they just identified the problem. He went on a call and exercised, in a single call, he got them 6 billion euros in investment, as well as access to a market, the US market, which they didn't have. So such things, just a young facilitation of a conversation. I'm not saying you need to bribe and have quid pro quos, but just facilitation of a conversation helps make stuff much, much easier. And then we look at things like digital access as well as niche markets. Your platforms such as your LinkedIn seemed, for me, have been beneficial. Your things such as Instagram, but depends on, again, who you're following. Following the right channels, you then get access to market. Your DTICs, your tiers, your government agencies will then post international exhibitions that they're sending startups in South Africa to go overseas to be directly faced with the market. So you'll exhibit your product, you'll have the market come to you, and that gives you an in into the market. Of course, you need to then do your own hard work and get that conversation through the door, but it allows you to get access into the room where the conversation takes place. So such platforms are available and they support SMMEs. So with such things, they'll look for guys who have made under 10 million in revenue. And if you've made more than 10 million, you're excluded. So it allows the smaller guys who haven't sold, who are starting to get into the market, to have access to an international market. And one thing I learned also from the international market, it takes the same effort to make 1 rand, does it as the same as it would take to make 1 pound. But the difference is for 1 pound, you're getting 24 rands. So that's just another way to look at it when you also look considering your market, the efforts that it takes. And then also not just stay rambling, but just a couple of pointers, common pitfalls and things to avoid when building. Don't build in isolation. It's great to be in your back room and just build a product and wait for it to get perfect for you to go to market. Failure brings the best results. So build your product, build your first prototype, go to the market, let them criticize it, let them break it, go back, build again, and make it better. Versus, especially this is in hardware, where I'm mostly in the hardware space. where you build and you think you need to complete a product to go to market, and then you realize you need to pivot because the market wants something completely different. So don't build in isolation. Number 2, don't fake customers. Be honest. People like to give people their first try. I have no customers and I'd like you to be my first customer. And when they ask why, because if you go to competitor B, he has 100 customers that I treat you like 100 others. But to me, you're my only customer. My business needs to continue tomorrow, so I'm going to treat you as my only customer, and people give you a chance. Everyone likes to give somebody a chance. So, of course, you'll get rejections, but being honest and saying I don't have customers even allows you to make certain mistakes. Because in business, when you don't have customers, you'll make certain mistakes compared to a person who has customers. So that's another thing. And then number 2, again, the last point I'll keep on emphasizing is we like the obsession of compliments. We like getting compliments. Don't chase compliments, chase money. If you're trying to build a business, your money will be your validation. It doesn't matter if everyone is posting you, if everyone's saying you're doing great, but your bank account is empty because you don't have clients. The compliments don't pay the bills. They don't keep the startup or the business running for tomorrow. So try to solve real problems for real people. And then in closing, I'll touch again on a point that they brought up about startups. Market access isn't a one-time thing. So it isn't an instant click of a finger and then you have access to market. It's the mindset. So from building, from coming up with the idea, you have to think about going to market. It doesn't only happen once the product is done. So every single step of the way, think about market access. How will I then access this market? And number 2, listen. Listening is the most important thing when building. Listen to the customers, listen to the critiques, listen to the haters, listen to the compliments, listen to them all. It helps you build. And validate fast. The quicker you validate your solution, the better it is for you. You have limited resources, and you're trying to do great things with limited resources. So you need to validate your solution as quick as possible in the market. Number 2, partner smart. It's a very important thing, whether it's investors, whether it's co-founders, whether it's suppliers, whether it's distributors, you need to partner smart. It's very easy to say yes when in desperation. I'll bring up another case in point, another guy who's building a fintech solution. He needs to fundraise, and the only guys who are willing to give him money are from Russia. And in the fintech space, there's a huge feud between the West and Russia, which I'll not get into, but he can't accept the money, and he needs to find other solutions. So that's another thing to do. And then I'll also invite you guys to rethink how you ask questions. How you ask yourself questions, how you ask customers questions, rethink about it, and see if you're not getting validation, but you're getting the truth. Build trust. So platforms like this, like Tshimologong, you'll get invited, they'll recommend you for other opportunities. You need to build trust as quick as possible. And then lastly, you need to go to market as quick as possible. So yeah, thank you guys.
Woohoo! Thank you to, no, you can stay, welcome. That was fantastic. I certainly learned quite a lot. Thank you for those brilliant tips and tools about the ins and outs of getting the ongoing process of upselling and getting markets. You said some really, really insightful things about local markets as a runway into getting global and international markets, but also the importance of community, which I think we're going to be emphasizing over and over again. Anyway, whether you've got questions for welcome?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Wow, that was very insightful. I'm not sure if you have written a book yet, but if you haven't, all those pointers, they should be in a book. I guess it will be very helpful to a lot of us. So first and foremost, my question is that in terms of startup, is there a period? Because I haven't heard anyone mention a period. Is there a period in terms of what a startup is considered? And then secondly, you saying something about testing your product in the market. So the question I'm curious or asking about is that what if maybe you try out a product and then whilst you're still trying to test it, and then somebody else create a better product than you and put it in the market, and then already people in that product, whereas you started that project, and now obviously when everyone is excited about a product, I don't know if that would sort of demotivate you, or by the time you relaunch your product, would it still be accepted in the market? And then, yeah, I guess those are my questions. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for the questions and thank you for the kind words. No, I've not written a book. I'll do that later on in life. Yeah. So I'll answer the last question first. My advice is, no matter what you're trying to build, especially if it's a startup, you need to be 10 times better than your closest competitor before you think of building. If you're not 10 times better than your closest competitor, don't do it, because they will innovate and they'll eat you up, and you'll find the whole process you went to was for nothing. So you need to be 10 times better than your closest competitor. Number two, if you're creating small change, don't do it, because you're then taking mankind as a whole backwards in thinking, trying to improve on something that exists. But try and create something that doesn't exist, but that improves our current problems. So you look at things like Airbnb. Before Airbnb existed, we never thought of sleeping on someone's couch and renting it out overnight. But now it exists. You can't think of a life without Airbnb. Same with Uber, same with Bolt, So if you aren't really trying to create great change, startups will eat you up. And number two, there is no limit around it. You look at the likes of OpenAI, who do ChatGPT, they still considered a startup. Uber is still considered a startup. Yoko is still considered a startup. So there isn't a certain timeline around how long you can be a startup. But again, you being a startup needs to actually create growth and fast. So that's another thing. Work fast. Validate your solution quick and fast. Yeah.
Go to the gentleman over here.
Evening. Say, I don't know if I didn't get this or what. So I want to know which tools we can use to access like a global market. Which tool let's say I started a company, which tool can I go to and say that's where I'm gonna find investors, that's where I'm gonna find people who will invest in my company, or people who will be interested in growing my company? Which tools can we use? Can I do I have to be a content creator to be able to attract those investors, or go to social media, go to Instagram, go to Twitter to follow the right people, or do I have to write 200 emails to be able to get those investors? I just want to know which tools can I use to actually access that global market. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. Let's take a couple of questions and he'll answer it once. Quick, please, your question.
Thank you so much, Dumelang, Kofela. I hope you guys are good. So this is a very important discussion based on it's Youth Month right now, and the statistics are saying 46% of the youth are unemployed. So how does this Startup Act benefit the SMMEs that are not benefiting from the very funding that is coming out? Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. I think there's
We have another question.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. It's my first time here today. I thought I was just going to sit here, listen, and not say anything, but there's something you said that really stuck with me, and I'd like to ask you. You use a scenario to say, choose your partners wisely. I'd like you to elaborate on that. Maybe give me your own personal experience with that with Intech.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to ask, you mentioned organizations like TIA and that of the like. So how would you navigate how slow they are in terms of, for example, issuing out funding and that sort of thing? Thank you.
Okay, I think there's the last question here.
Yeah, thank you. I just have a comment on your views, my brother who's going to write the book in the future. And it was on the answer you gave to the gentleman here. I don't necessarily agree with what you said regarding his question, because I think he asked what to do when you're starting a business, you're testing, and other people are going into market with the same product or similar product. And I think the view we should have is, if you look in the market, you have Benz, you have BM, you have Renault, you have Ford, you have Bajaj, you have all of these companies all sell cars, but all of them have a market that they're selling to. So I think the view that we should have, or you should have given to the gentleman, is that you can continue with your product even though other people are launching their products before you. Because when people launch products before you, it actually validates you as well, because it says that there's space in the market for you to create a product. And you don't necessarily have to be 10 times better than the people you are competing with. And especially in the context of South Africa, not many people starting businesses have the resources to be 10 times better when they start, right? So yeah, my view is you just have to look at what the competitor is not doing right. Pick that one thing, double down on it, and that will lead you to your success, sure.
One, two. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to ask the gentleman presenting. I heard him raise a point of do not chase compliments, but rather solve a problem that is like asked by clients or something. But don't we need compliments for our businesses to grow? I mean, if somebody is an installer, for instance, they have an installing business, I want to see reviews, I want to see those compliments. That's what's going to attract me to that person, because there's reference, and I think compliments are a form of review. So I just want to clarify on that, like, what do you mean by don't chase compliments? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
I'll start with then the tools to use to access opportunities, right? There isn't a set tool in the African landscape. So in Europe, there's a tool called Euro Equity, which is then a platform for businesses, investors, and clients to find each other, just like a Facebook marketplace, but it's very curated and it's very restricted, so they double check and triple check, they do their proper due diligence before adding people. But in the South African landscape, again, there's people like Tshimologong. You follow their pages on LinkedIn, on Facebook, whatever they're on. You'll follow the Startup Act, you'll follow Takis in Tech, you'll follow Technology Innovation Agency. They will post opportunities as the year goes on. You just need to make sure you're consistently following them. And then there's also chambers. So whatever sector you're in, maybe you're in farming, there's a farming chamber. You look at those guys as well. Those chambers also share opportunities with their members to grow and to excel and to find new opportunities. With Hungry, I'm sorry for getting him in trouble. We're trying to then bring Euro Equity to have access to Tshimologong. So Tshimologong can then do its validation, do its checks, and then they recommend companies to go to then on the platform such as Euro Equity. So also stick to your mentors, build personal relationships. An opportunity will come from someone forwarding it to you on WhatsApp, or come to someone sharing it on a group chat, but you just need to be in that group chat. I can't tell you specifically, go to this group chat and you'll find opportunities, but being there allows you to access some sort of opportunity. So when you leave here, you get contacts, you get in group chats. Even if you're not responding consistently, just keep on checking. Someone will post a poster, someone will post a link, someone will post something. That thing might be the game changer. So there wasn't a specific point that changed for us. And then the question about the Startup Act, I think she's in a better position to answer that. I'll leave it out for her. And then in regards to choosing partners wisely for Iron Tech. So you look at, with Iron Tech, what we did is we looked at fit. We need money. So you need to have someone with money. You need to have someone with technicality. You need to have someone with hard work. You need to have someone who's always available, etc. So you need to have different skills available to make it work. It serves no point having just engineers and you have no one who can do marketing, no one who can do sales, because you'll need to bring in those skills. So with Iron Tech, when we were starting it, we just looked at what skill fits were around and available, and we collaborated with those skill fits. It isn't perfect. There's conflict, there's fights, there's disagreements, but it's part of the building process. It helps me become a better person, it helps my founders become a better person, and helps us grow together. So it isn't a perfect puzzle fit, but it's the closest thing. You know, we're not trying to put round pegs in a square hole. You know, we try and make it a fit as much as possible. It won't always be as perfect, but find a 70 to 80% fit. Let me find the next question. Okay, navigating around tiers and etc. Governments are naturally slow. There's nothing one could do about it. Anyone who's dealt with TIA, anyone who's dealt with DTIC will complain. So again, we'll go back, touching back to that product fit. If your partners, if you pick the right partners, you guys should be able together to navigate those government delays until the next tranche of payment comes in, until the next point of payment comes in. But also in Africa, we have a very big problem of building businesses based around government. So we build businesses just to tender, we build businesses just to get government funding. We have a very big problem with that. It's a source of access to market, it's a source of funding, but it shouldn't, don't build a business that is revolved around government, and if government fails you, then your business fails. It should just be another tool to assist you to grow and access markets. And then, your views on cars. Yes, I agree with you with the cars. The car market is huge. But I'll take the latest two, BYD and Tesla. The reason BYD is growing as faster than Tesla now is because when BYD came in the market, they offered a solution 10 times better than Tesla's. As much as in the car space, they offered a car that can get into water. They offered a car with a higher charging rate. They offered a car that's cheap on a price point. So all those things make you 10 times better than your competitor. I'm not saying create IP with every single business that you do. If you're in retail, see the issues that Pick and Pay has and solve those issues, and also see the things that Pick and Pay is good at and improve better on those issues. I'm not saying don't get into retail because it's Pick and Pay, or don't get into a certain market because it exists. I'm saying when you get into the market, give the client or the customer a reason not to go with customer loyalty, but to then try something new. It's a very difficult thing to try something new, and we're all customers of some sort. When we bang, we'll prefer to go to somewhere that's similar, somewhere that we know. And it's very difficult for us to change to new markets. So if something big comes or some drastic improvement comes, and then we go there, you look at the change from aerial to DSTV when DSTV came into the market. There was a big change for us to take out 100 Rand every single month and pay then that 100 recurring fee. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents on then that point. And then lastly, yes. So the last point was then in regards to compliments. I'm not saying compliments are bad and a compliment situation on Google reviews, stuff like that. No, that's great. That's feedback from customers. I'm saying in a landscape where you're looking for customers, the first validation you get when you're building a business is from your friends and your family. Those are the first people you talk to. And from those people, don't seek validation because they love you. It will come unconditionally. So if I ask my mate now, I have a business, I want to do this, I want to sell my kwenya in the Gautrain, outside the Gautrain station, when I know very well you can't eat in the Gautrain station. He will say yes, sell there because there's no one who's selling. But he won't consider the truth that you can't eat in the Gautrain station, so that business won't make sense. No one's going to buy my kwenya to ride into the train if they can't eat in the train. You get me? So there's those type of thin lines where you need validation from the right people, and these people where it's not validation, it's love that's making them say those certain things. So from those people, try and find the truth. And yeah, I guess that's it with my questions, and I'll leave the last one to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Round of applause to welcome. Those are fantastic. Those are fantastic inputs. Some hard truths there, some realities, but also insights. I certainly learned a lot. And I think just from the question that was posed about how the Startup Act is contributing to the solution of youth unemployment, I think just having these engagements, we rely on businesses to grow. If businesses grow, they employ people. So we really felt compelled that this Youth Month, we need to bring this roadshow that we do all over the country to young business owners. So it's a plea, in fact, to us to please thrive in your businesses so that we can also have a job, essentially. So I think I'm also protecting my own job here by saying I need businesses to grow. But really, it's as simple as that. We know that in the formal economy, you would have heard in Stats SA that the formal economy is really, really bleeding jobs. You know, businesses, big businesses really slowing down, and it's just not a good space right now for big business. Some of them are thriving, of course, but that leaves an opportunity for you and I to create businesses that can employ people, right? With that said, let's move over to the next speaker from the JSE, Cleola Kunene, who's going to talk to us on the note of funding. What are the various funding instruments that are available to us over and above what we know? We spoke about government, spoke about TIA, we spoke about grants, but what else is out there to invest in our businesses? So round of applause to Cleola.
Don't know where to put this. Somewhere here. Okay. Somebody said there's young people here, but the energy, you're slow. I don't know, hey? I don't know. I feel like I came to where the old people are. People like me who are really like old and tired. We're like, yeah. We're just listening. Okay, let me ask a question then. Who wants money? What? Only 5 of you? Oh, okay. Somebody here wants money. Who wants money? Okay. Do you know how to speak the language of money? What's the language of money? Give me the money. Did somebody say, give me the money? That's the language of money. Sorry? Offering, that's a good one. What's the value? What's the language of money? Oh, someone's getting jargony here. I thought I'm the one from capital markets and exchange, right? Yes?
It's business and trading.
Business and trading.
Yeah, you offer something in exchange for money.
Economics, buyers and sellers.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. I'm not going to talk to you about the JSE. I'm going to give you a little mini masterclass today. Okay? On money. And why? Because you're entrepreneurs, but not even if you're not an entrepreneur. Money is a tool that you need in your life, right? If you don't know the language of money, how can you use it? If you don't know what the tool looks like, how can you find it? You don't know how to use it, you don't know what it looks like. I heard a question here, where do I go? Who says you are worth investing in? I'm going to ask these questions, and because you have to ask yourself these questions. I speak the language of money. One day when I get a personalized number plate that says paid, you'll know it's me. I speak the language of money. Why? Because if you don't speak the language of money, you don't know how to use it wisely. You don't know how to ensure that it grows, right? And you actually don't know what you need to do to be able to find it, right? You don't know. I put a little bit of a presentation together, kept it very light. It's called Pitch, Partner, and Perform, right? So let's go into it. Here are a lot of big brands. Some of them you know, some of them you don't know. And they were all once small businesses. Somebody asked the question around what's a startup, right? They were all once startups. They didn't just pop up and become KFC overnight, right? The brand that you know today. They started as the businesses with an idea. Somebody came and said, oh, actually, I can see myself you know, owning a Disney or a Visa or a Shell, Cartier. We know these brands, right? So what is the vision for your company? Let's start there. Do you have a vision for your company? Is it this? Okay, it's a conglomerate. So let's start with the first language that you need to know. We're not talking about startups. We're talking about pre-seed or seed. Are you pre-seed or are you seed? Do you know? Who here is pre-seed? Why are you pre-seed? You've got an idea.
I got an idea, but I haven't gotten into the market. I haven't gotten the clientele yet.
Okay, perfect. So pre-seed means you need funding for research, for market validation. Sometimes, you know, pre-seed could take years. Say, for instance, you're building a manufacturing plant, right? Or you're building a power station. It could take years to do pre-seed, right? And it actually can cost a lot of money. But why would somebody give you the money for your idea?
Well, the market is there. And the way that I've set it up, it is much easier to get clients with partnerships than marketing individually.
So you've
that's a
innovated.
benefit. Yes, there is that
So you've
part.
got an innovative idea. Okay. You've got an innovative idea, a real market opportunity. You may have something that somebody really thinks is value adding, right? So pre-seed is very limited in terms of capital. There's very little pre-seed capital going around, especially in Africa. So if you, have, for instance, have unique IP, you're more likely to get pre-seed funding because you need to validate, right, and test. Now going into the next one, which is seed, right? Seed, most of you here are seed. You've started out, you've got something, you may need to do some prototyping, you may need to do certain things, develop, you know, buy new stock, etc. Before you actually even are a business, this is how we look at it. Where are you? Life stage. Are you growth? Right? Where are you? Are you Series A, Series B? Are you Series C? Are you exit? Know the language of money, because then you know where you belong. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about funding options, pitching, partnership, and co-creating sustainable value. Because there's a lot of youth business here, I'll talk about a few of the funding options for youth businesses. Okay. Debt financing. In the past, we would go to a bank, speak to your bank manager, and your bank manager would say, you don't have an asset, or you have an asset, or maybe your grandfather, your father can, you know, back you up as a guarantor and will give you a loan. Now, there's so many debt structures. You can get different types of funding. The ones here are not even everything. I just mentioned bank loans, first and foremost. Overdrafts, asset financing. Do you know what asset financing is? Do you have an asset that you need financing? Yeah? Maybe your logistics company. Maybe you need machinery. Before you apply for financing, you need to understand what type of financing aligns to your business. Okay? So not all financing is applicable to what you need. Invoice financing. You got an invoice? Maybe you got a government contract, we don't know. They pay you late. There's a company that will pay your invoice. Call it invoice discounting, right? Equity financing, angel investors, very few of those in South Africa. They're like hen's teeth. So you really have to convince them that you're worth investing in. VC. Now, I put there high growth potential companies. VC is usually, it's not for everybody. Let's be very clear. VCs are looking for high growth, which means you have demonstrated that your business is high growth, right? What is the language they use? 10x. Is it a 10x? Can we 10x it? Right? And you're like, what is 10x? speak the language of money. You're gonna sit there. Is your business 10x? You're like, I don't know. It's 12x. Okay, it's important. It's important that you understand, okay? Private equity. Private equity investment is for companies that are already profit-making. It's an equity buyout usually. So if you're not profit-making, private equity firms are not gonna look at you. We're talking about 20 million and above profit-making, okay? If you're not profit-making, but you can demonstrate a good case that says that you'll get to profit very soon, again, then they'll look at your business. Okay, so you're not gonna go to a private equity business when you are seed. You're gonna go to a private equity business when you are Series B. So somebody mentioned Yoko, private equity funders, right? Crowdfunding, there's a lot of crowdfunding platforms. I'm not gonna go into that. Okay, let's talk about alternative financing. Got one there that everybody wants, government grants. Do you know how many applications they get? Take a wild guess. In a month. Let's see NEF. In a month, over 3,000. In a month, over 3,000 applications. That's just one. So if you want government financing, number one rule, have your ducks in a row. Because it's gonna take long. And you're gonna apply, then you don't have this, now you must go back. Guess what happens to your application? Kicked out, kicked to the back of the queue. Then you must wait 3 months later for the other 10,000 people to go through the queue for your application to be looked at. All right? So if you're gonna go that route, it's gonna take long, but please have your ducks in a row, because you're gonna waste your own time if you don't. Okay. Then we've got funding, ESD funding. Usually it has to be aligned to the business. Let's say Mr. Price has got an ESD fund, or they've got supply development, enterprise development. They would technically look for companies that fit within their value chain, right? That's an alignment. It's not the case in all cases, but it's the case for most corporates with ESD solutions. You do get organizations such as Edge. I'm on the investment committee for Edge. They've got a lot of, funds that they look after. Again, requirements are very strict for the companies. You have to demonstrate that you're sustainable. Okay, business incubators and accelerators. We know about those. We know about friends and family. Supply credit. Supply credit is quite common. You buy stock from a macro gives you credit, right? You build up a trade credit history, which is something that for some funders you can actually use to say, I've got a good trade credit history when you are looking for other funding, such as working capital, etc. So when you are getting trade credit, please look after it. Because if they then go and find out that you have a bad trade credit history, it's also going to count against you. Okay, purchase order financing, venture debt, and then mezzanine financing. Okay, let's talk about some of the funding solutions. Do you know these funders? Yeah? Everyone in this room should know them very well. These are the baseline youth funders, right? National Youth Development Agency, SETFA. SETFA's got specific programs, youth programs, like such as the Youth Challenge Fund. IDC. IDC's got about 2. Somebody else mentioned TIA. Got TIA there. Grow e-youth scheme. But generally, this is what you need to know. You're a business. Funders, apart from DFIs, government, may structure you as a youth business, but most funders just look at you as a business. Nobody really, honestly, is going to worry too much about whether you're youth or township, whatever. They're going to worry about if you're a viable business. Are you a business that can pay your money back? Can you afford this? Are you worth investing in? So to say you're a youth business is applicable only to the organizations that say they worry about that. Majority of funders, majority. And the universe of funders is huge in terms of private financing, right? They would just want to know, are you a viable business? That's it. That's what you need to get to. And they're going to tell you, if you come and say, I'm a black business, I'm a female-owned business, I'm a youth business. Where's your books? Remember we spoke about the language of money? There's a language of government entities, there's a language of money. You want money? Speak the right language. Who's ever done an investor pitch? Show of hands. Okay, how did it go for you?
Raised $100K. But no, it's finished. I need more. This was pre-seed. So now we are, I'd say, seed. And of course, we've exhausted our runway. Investor pitches really also do want you to know your story. You might not have the money, but you need to know how you're going to make the money. You need to inform them on your validation as well. What does your hypothesis discovery look like? What does your customer journey look like? And what have you also learned? But they also, the one thing that I guess we were lucky with was that they were also passionate about the founders. Mm-hmm. They believed in us and that we can actually carry this through.
Absolutely, 100%. Round of applause for her, please. And runway is very important, right? Before I go into the pitch, you need to know whether you need money to begin with. Because quite frankly, money may not be the problem. In fact, money might be a liability. It's like, I always say, everybody wants the wedding day. Very few people want the marriage. And nobody wants the divorce. Right? What is divorce? It's liability. You're liable. If you take someone's money, it's like a monkey. Who's ever seen that Chicken Licken ad with the monkey on your back? That's what you're doing. Right now, it's your business, then it's our business. Because it's my money. Right? Are you ready for that? Do you still want the money? Who still wants the money? Like 3 people now. Okay. This is your plan. I'm going to go to the bank and get money. Right? That's the reality. Getting funding is hard. If you think running a business is hard, convincing someone else to give you money for your idea or your business is harder. We're very lucky in South Africa that we've got grant funding, we've got ESD. We are so lucky. In other countries, they don't have that. You must see for yourself, right? We actually have so much support. Look at this amazing event today, right? How much support are you getting right here? Look at what the Startup Act are doing for entrepreneurs. Like, who has that? Go to countries like even Nigeria, like even our classrooms. We have actually few people in university in a classroom, etc., even if it's TVET or whatever. You can go to a classroom, a lecture hall in Nigeria, and you have 2,000 people in one class, right? Trying to get the lesson. We actually have a lot of things that are beneficial for us. So although the journey is hard, it's significantly easier in our case. Okay, start with defining your proposition. A good pitch starts long before pitch day. Long before you pitch. Remember what we spoke about? What is your vision? If you don't know why you're doing it, you don't know what you're trying to get to, you're not going to sell anybody else on it. Nobody's going to buy into it. Why? So what is your company's why? And perhaps your personal why. Everybody's got a story. And everybody has an authentic story, right? A problem that they're solving, a thing that came to them, etc. Be authentic, be you. Your why must be true to you. Don't go and get someone else's quote from Google, okay? It's yours. The more authentic you are, the more someone else will buy into backing you, right? Your solutions and your products. There was a question around, are you solving a problem or an opportunity? Why would somebody buy from you? Right? Even if you're selling, if you're competing, there's 2 hair salons next to each other. Why would somebody go to the one and not the other? Right? And it can't just be about pricing. There has to be something. What is the magic? Value for your business, client, investors. What is your value to the world? Why you? Why your business? And then how are you going to get there? You've got this big, hairy, audacious goal. How are you going to get there? Milestone it. She spoke about how you're going to get access to clients. How? You can say, oh, I'm going to get 30 clients. When? How? Who? What is your obtainable market? You can't say 50 million people in South Africa, 60 million. No, that's not your market. Who is your market? How are you going to get there? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how do you pitch. Do your homework. Know everything about your investor. Every investor has a mandate. Every fund has a mandate, and you need to know what that is. You need to do your homework, and they have key requirements. You can't go to somebody that funds only mechanics, and you're going with retail products. You're wasting their time and yours. And then you say, I've gone to 20 people. They don't want to fund me. And then, was it the correct people? Did you have your ducks in a row? Start with doing your homework. And it shows if somebody didn't do their homework. It really shows. We deal with a lot of people. I also own a fund. I'm part of a fund. All right? I'm an entrepreneur. I see a lot of people asking for money. Long stories. Pages. Pages of gibberish. Right? They didn't do their homework. But they want money. Why would I trust you? You didn't even bother to find out what we fund. Tell a great story. Tell the story of your business, who it is, where it's going, why your business, all of those things. Tell a great story. Pitching is about storytelling. Okay? Magic words every investor wants to hear. What I've learned. Why? It demonstrates that you've walked the journey, that you've invested time, effort, money. Whether you've won or you've lost, you say, what I've learned. This is what I've learned. I tried this. This is what I've learned. This is what we've changed. You know what I mean? This is what we're doing now. This is how we're going to get the clients. What I've learned. Remember that. Articulate value versus features. You wouldn't understand how many people tell me, this is what my software has. This is what my product has. But what is the value? When you're pitching value. Yes, I'm not saying you shouldn't talk about technical features, but is the feature a value? Right? And when you show value in terms of credibility, in terms of competitive advantage. So do you know who your competitors are? Do you know what they're doing? Do you know how you're different? Right? Then you have to be compelling and confident. If you're not confident and you don't believe in what you're selling, no one is going to buy it. You have to truly believe it. Test it with whoever you can. I know that Welcome said, don't seek validation. In this case, seek validation because you want people to tell you, test it out, test your pitch, right? You want people to tell you, yes, no, I like it, right? Test the pitch in this case. Get your facts straight. That's very important, especially when it comes to financials. Do not thumbsuck your financials, right? You're saying, I want asset financing, I want to buy equipment, etc. You give a price there, but you don't have quotes. You don't know how much it costs to run your business. You don't know how you're going to make money. You don't know your cash flow. You don't know any ratios. You don't know financials. You're just dependent on a finance manager, but you want money. You need to know the baseline level, language of money and funding, because if somebody asks you, you need to be confident and comfortable with those things. Okay. And then know your shortcomings. It is okay to acknowledge your shortcomings. That also speaks to credibility and authenticity. Don't try and oversell yourself. And then no more than 20 minutes. That's a pitch. That's a pitch. Maybe 30 minutes, right? But within 20 minutes, if you can't convince someone, it's going to be very hard, right? The reality is investors buys into the founder as well. You said it, they believed in you. So if they don't believe in you, if you don't have credibility, and when you say credible team, and you put pictures there of your team, it has to be people that add value to the business, not your aunts and uncles and cousin, you know? Okay? Can you do what you're claiming you can do? And do you have good governance in place? More importantly, do you have resilience? Don't be scared to tell a little bit about your life story, but not too much. Demonstrate that you, in terms of your business, that you have resilience. Okay, I know I'm out of time, right? Yeah. So I'm just going to leave it here and say, prepare for your questions ahead of time and have your documents ready before you go into the meeting, because if they ask you for something after, you should be able to share it very quickly. Okay.
Thank you, Cleo. That was fantastic. You still had quite a few more slides. No, you can stay here. Any questions? I'm sure there's lots of questions for Cleola. We're speaking to business people, all right, who are ready to speak the language of money.
Oops. Let me run to him.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna. Here's one, and then I'll get to you.
Hi, Cleola.
Hello.
Thank you very much. My question has to do with this illusion of funding. Because we work with these startups, they're struggling a lot. And the guy that spoke is a good example of a guy who's struggling. Yes, it looks like he's working well. But I know him well enough to know that he's struggling to raise the funding that he should be raising at the level and the quality of business that he has. We've helped him put together some things. It's not working. And I want you to answer this because you've got the experience. These relationships and this thing of they want to fund the founder, but they don't know these bloody kids, right? And they also can't position themselves well enough to go and receive because they don't have the language of building the relationships in the first place. And we hear all the time that these deals are signed in golf courses. No one has got clubs. But for the guy that was standing there, by the way, and he's still struggling to find the funding. So people are able to articulate their value. They are able to put together their finances together. But this thing is not flowing. And then you read articles. There's 3 billion in funding in this country that's going out to startups. And then you go and extract the data of, okay, where is this money going? Because it is not with these guys. And I know that for a fact. And I'd like to take you to research because maybe I'm speaking anecdotally, right? Fazila Farouk writes. Fazila Farouk writes. And the question is, I mean, she's got the question, but I'm trying to say that I'm not speaking because people are not getting funding because they have not done what you said. I'm saying, help us understand why when they've done what you said, the money does not flow. Because they have. And trust me, we know they have. And he was speaking as if it's going well. I know it's not going well.
Okay. There's a lot of information there. So, sorry, can I just answer first because I'm not gonna. Okay. So I'm gonna answer your question very succinctly. One, I am in the funding space, and I can tell you majority of SMEs do not have their ducks in a row. Majority, honestly speaking. Even if there is money, even if somebody wants to help them, a lot of them do not have their ducks in a row. And that is a fact. I'm in the space, and I've been in the space for over 10 years. So I know in detail. Secondly, let's talk about capital, right? One, capital coming into South Africa is expensive. Debt in this country is expensive. Funding, equity or debt, right? Which means, one, it's costly to get access to it, right? Because even the bank that gets the funding, they get it in dollars. Our currency is not that great. We're gray listed, which means that it's more expensive for them to get the funding, which means it's even more riskier for them to give the capital, right? So when they do risk assessments, it's also where a lot of people fall flat, right? So capital in itself is expensive. But then there's the other part, which is absolutely true, is that people also fund people that they know, right? Why did I get into funding? People like me got into funding because we recognize that, right? That a lot of people are not getting the capital. So, but it doesn't mean it's any easier for us, because even for me to raise funds, right, as a woman of color is very hard. So when I raise funds and I have to give that funding, guess what? I'm going to be very careful about who I give it to. Because when I lose that money and it doesn't circulate back, I can't give it to anyone else, right? Because it's very hard and very expensive to get capital. So if it's hard, it's high risk, it's expensive, what does that mean? It means I have to give it to businesses that actually can ensure that they can pay it back, whether it's in equity or debt. So no, it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to get easier anytime soon, because capital's not going to suddenly get cheap overnight. Which means that if you do want to access it, you have to be compelling and competitive, because you're competing against other people for that rand. A lot of questions.
My question is, what's happening in the US? My name is Johnny from the Pan-African Chamber of Commerce. We've just partnered with the city of Joburg now to roll out our women entrepreneurship centers. I think the elephant in the room, especially in the global scheme of things, is the rollback of DEI initiatives. A lot of funding was actually linked to US missions all over the globe. What impact do you think that particular executive order, as it were, actually affect women empowerment in South Africa, or accessing of capital by women in South Africa? Because it was quite a lot of money coming from the US, a huge number of initiatives. In fact, we are hosting the US Africa Tech Summit in Cape Town in August, and these are conversations we'd like to have. How do we then address this issue, because we don't have money locally? Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think, sure, it's very difficult, because we've been very reliant on the US. The US aid, I know a lot of the publishing and media spoke about the medical side of it, affecting people with HIV, etc. But the funding side, hundreds of millions, right, of dollars that were just cut, that did not flow into South Africa. In fact, last year, a lot of the funds applied for funding that were granted, especially around women, youth, and January, they all got letters, right? I was actually part of one of those groups. Got letters, got told, hold on. By March, we got letters saying their money ain't going nowhere, right? But this is the thing, and we have to also start thinking very realistic about our economy, right? Our economy was founded on what you would call commodities, right? And that means it's an extraction economy, and then around that were intermediary services such as banks, etc., or secondary services. But we haven't really fully industrialized. In fact, we were more industrialized in the early 90s. About 20% of our GDP came from industrialization, right? Which means making things, right? Or unique IP creation. And now it's only 12%. And why is industrialization so important? Industrialization draws more trade, and it draws more investment. If we don't have that, it's going to continue to be hard for us to get more investment and get programs such as, because there's more, for instance, European Union, etc. But because we don't have industrialization, we've got very limited industrialization. It's still going to be very difficult. And that's why it's important for us to actually have people that focus on manufacturing. If there's anything that we should be doing, that's what we should be doing.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone, and good evening to you, Cleola. So I'm a founder of an innovative technology company, so we focus on building custom software solutions for government, as well as mining, condition monitoring and predictive maintenance for mining equipment. Now, I want to ask a question around market access, right? Because I feel that from a lot of conversations we have with funders, they want to know, are you going to be able to pay back my money, which is what you were referring to earlier. And of course, being people of color, we don't have collateral, right? So I've sat with banks with a commercial contract for an innovative business, right? So this is first in its market, in its niche market. So it's something that hasn't been tried. But you've got a contract with a client and you want a bank to help you maybe implement a project and you struggle, right, to get that money. And they tell you, well, we're not so sure you're going to pay us back, right? Do you see that you've got a contract? And I mean, it's such a bomb of an innovator because you worked so hard even to get to that point. So I want to go back to what mechanisms are being put in place to help the adoption of youth-led or innovative businesses? Because it's nice to talk about these things, but when you come back to the ground, it's someone who's coming up with a product, like Ndomato's company, right? Create a gym equipment that generates electricity. Let's say it's never been done. And customers want to try it, but they're also reluctant because what if, they put money down the drain? So what do we have in place to support this youth-led businesses that are very innovative? Because every time they go to market, it's going to be a new product. There's no money for it. And the questions that customers like to ask, where have you done it before? Well, I haven't done it anyway, and I want to try it with you. But are you willing to put in money for me? If not, where do I go? Because if we don't get the first few customers right, if we don't get the first few invoices right, or even support when you get those first few contracts, we're not going to build scalable businesses. So it's going to be very hard. Then all these funding options, your private equity, it's just a pipe dream for most innovative businesses. So I think the question I'm trying to ask is, what sort of support or mechanisms are there in place for specifically innovation-focused businesses in terms of, yes, we've got a lot of opportunities around developing technology, but in terms of commercializing the technology, I think I need a little bit of clarity there. Thank you.
Sorry. Oopsie.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for your presentation. So, from your side, because you fund businesses, I'm a product guy, right? So developed an amazing product, similar to Welcome, who's talking about like this great products that you develop, right? And then, do you think it's, sorry, I can't see, mate. Do you, and then now, like, I was excited building the product, and I'm very good at building product. New at selling, right? It's a very new kind of like thing that we're getting out every day. We're learning how to hunt and all that stuff, right? Do you think it's early to ask for money when you've built the amazing product, and let's say you don't have the, let's say, 500,000 in sales? Or do you recommend I wait till I get there? Or with the product that I've built, just be like, hey, listen, I'm coming to you as a funder. One of my limitations is I'm a builder, I'm not a seller. Maybe can you come through and implement systems or whatever you guys do? So I just wanted to know what would you kind of recommend in that kind of instance?
Okay, so I think both questions are kind of almost similar. So let's talk about generally. Generally, most funders are going to look for a minimum of 2-year operating history, right? Because they want to see that the proof is in the pudding. When you want to find other people that can fund you, I would suggest a few things. One, a lot of founders are not open to partnerships early on. I would say look for partners that can fund. You partner with somebody that's been in business before, that you can partner with, and they can help you with market access and potentially funding. Second, there are solutions in place for unique products, commercial IP commercialization, right? CSIR, for instance, have IP commercialization. They've successfully commercialized a lot of innovations. There's a few others, but I can just name, for instance, some of the universities also have IP commercialization solutions, right? TIA, which was mentioned, TIA actually even has a new chairman. They've really revamped their solution. They're looking for innovative, digital, all of those solutions that they can back. But again, you know, proof is in the pudding. Is it really backable? It has to be tested, right? These things are not easy, and they're not overnight. I would say also look at some of the, what do you call them, the innovative accelerator incubator hubs. A lot of them actually give the first 5% of equity, and they'll take 5% of equity, right? And then they'll give you the first amount. That's why we have a lot of them. I know that Edge does it. Who's the other ones? Startup Grind, a lot of them do it, right? They give the first amount. So look for the right type of development organizations, because they usually have a fund that they give. Telkom does it as well. They just gave one of the companies that I supported 2 million to help with their new product innovations, etc. But again, you have to prove that it's worth it, right? That it's worth their time, etc. But does it exist? A lot of it exists. You're in the mining space. Anglo actually has one, very special, focused on companies that provide solutions in the mining value chain, right? So these things absolutely exist. I would suggest do a little bit more research, do a little bit more digging, because they do exist in South Africa. There's actually a lot of them. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Cleola. That was fantastic. Implementable strategies to get funding. And I think I'd also want to add one more organization that I know funds social enterprises, E Squared. If you've got a social enterprise, especially that benefits young people, they fund up until 10 million for grants. And then you can also partner up with private PTY Ltd to get their venture philanthropy funding up until 20 million. So I think in a nutshell, do engage in community, because you never know what information you're going to get from one community to another. But also don't be a serial event goer, right? Don't make a habit of going to events just because it's nice and good to go to events. But also go to the events with a purpose in mind, right? You've got your business, you started, where are you in the journey? I need this type of a resource, let me go to this, okay? Cool, we do have just, if we can steal 15 more minutes of your time. We know that usually you have 90 seconds of fame, which is about 30 minutes, and a couple of businesses come and pitch, and we still want to do that because we feel that it's quite important as community to give peer-to-peer feedback. You know, we are in this together, right? So the suggestion is if we can spend just 10 or 15 minutes, if we can have 2 to 3 volunteers of people to pitch their business ideas. Where are you at? What do you need? And you can get feedback on the spot from us as a community, from Cleola, from Welcome, from all of us in the room to contribute to your business, right? So very quickly, in 90 seconds, Cleola spoke about pitching for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, but in this time around, we're talking about 90 seconds. We all know the concept of elevator pitch, so pretend this is it. In 90 seconds, tell us 5 things. What is the story of your business? What are you solving? What is the problem that you have identified? And number 2, what is your solution through your business that you're bringing to the table to solve that problem? Number 3, educate us about the market that you're in. Some people call it shock value. I've once been in a session where somebody stood up and pitched and he says, shit happens. And guess what? He was in the waste management sector. So shock value, tell us a quick stat to give us an idea of the market that you're operating in, to catch people's attention and to know that you know the space that you're running in, right? Number 4, what is your track record? Your team, how many have you sold? What have you done? Number 5, ask the support that you need, whether it is funding for $100 million, whether it is I need working space. What is the ask? Okay, 3 volunteers. Anybody in the room? 1, 2.
This guy. He pre-booked, please.
Okay,
Go.
3.
Okay.
Sorry. And 4, because she's a lady, I've got a special. Please, the ladies have been quiet. I'm gonna time you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. So I'm not really pitching, so okay. Okay, 10 announce. Okay, let's continue then. Okay, guys, on the feed, okay, I'm Tinyiko Mpola Kimashele from Visionary Corner. So Visionary Corner mainly focuses on skills development when it comes to entrepreneurs. Because most of you are here, you are asking questions about my product and none. But what we forget to build, it's a system. Having a product, it's one thing, but there are other things that we need in a business. We need systems. So on the 5th of July in Soweto, Shawela, Ikaslaga Ramaphosa, we're going to be hosting our 5th annual business seminar. So this is number 5 that we're hosting the seminar. We're going to be bringing different speakers. Okay, I'm going to be bringing different speakers from the technical side. We're going to be having people from law, PR, marketing, and the legal advice. Then also going to have a different panel where it's going to be discussing about the highs and lows of entrepreneurship. Then also going to have people from the finance side. And now they're going to teach us how to manage our business finances. So the ticket is $50 general and $100 VIP. So the VIP comes with the food, breakfast and lunch, and we also have workbooks. So if you want to join us, guys, yeah, come see me after the session.
That was cheating because he technically didn't pitch, but he did it all in 90 seconds and he told us everything that we needed to know and the cost. So we'll give you that. Okay, next up.
How do you turn concrete into food? So what we found out, my classmate and I, in entrepreneurship and innovation, is that 42% of people in our city cannot afford healthy vegetables and fruits. So what we're working on, we call it Urban Harvest. So Urban Harvest is an agri-tech startup where we are looking at turning every building in our city into a garden, whether we are planting vertically or horizontally. That's how we are doing it in our city. So currently, we pitched this in our class so far, and what we've secured is a bit of seed funding to help continue the research for the next 6 months or so. So I'm looking for an agriculture specialist because I'm from a tech background, my classmate and I. So yeah.
Nice one. Any response from the room?
We do have agri-tech people in the room, and they'll come to you for that conversation.
Nice. Any more from the room?
Hi everyone, I'm actually here on behalf of the founder of the company I'm working with, which is YDPSA. We identified 2 issues. Number 1 is the expensive costs that SMMEs may face when it comes to remaining technically relevant, and also the high unemployment rate. So we have currently secured partnerships with companies like Microsoft to offer affordable AI training and certifications for the youth, because everyone knows it's costly to get these certifications. And not only that, we have built a learning management system, which also has study groups incorporated to foster collaboration, because one of the issues when I've spoken to others, they said that they faced procrastination, lack of motivation as well. So in those study groups, everyone's free to share whatever issues they may have. And we also have certified skills representatives, which will also help assist our learners in getting those certifications, and they could book one-on-one sessions with them. Yeah, that's.
Thank you. What did we identify that she didn't add? Cost, the name of the company.
The name of the company is Youth Development Projects SA, and currently we're looking at securing partnerships that would help get more certifications out aside from Microsoft, CompTIA, and so on. And anyone who's in the tech industry who may help us scale our operations as well.
Nice. Thank you. Well done. Thank you so much, everyone, for indulging. We've reached the end of the session. How do you guys feel? Was it value adding? Good use of your time? Yes. Definitely loved being with you guys, and we're hoping to come back soon to the Tech Talk community. We have dropped the survey on the group. Please do give us feedback. What do you think we should do to improve next time? Any feedback that you have for us. Please do follow our pages. Follow on the WhatsApp group as well. We'll drop whatever it is that we are doing. I think the most important thing is an opportunity for you to also engage in the research that we are doing, that I spoke about, where we want to identify what policy blockages are preventing us from tapping or accessing global markets and global capital. It would be great to get your feedback as users of policies on the ground so that we can provide that evidence-based research. And that's it. Everyone, please do hit us up if you've got any questions. We do have snacks in the room. Thank you for joining us.
It's actually more of a request. Could I forgot her name. JSE lady, please send her presentation. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Go have snacks.
No, saying let's communicate. Let's network. Let's get to know each other. Don't be shy. I'm here.
Awesome.
I'm here.